Shekhar Ramamurthy, who's MD, United Breweries, joins us to discuss more. Shekhar, it's great to have you on the show. Thanks very much for taking out the time, as always. Industry-wide growth has seen a strong uptick. 10% in Q1 is what we witnessed. But given that we've had a highway ban, GST implementation in the base quarter, do you believe this growth could be optical?
Well, good morning. Yeah, so all the factors you've highlighted are absolutely relevant. Last year and 6-8 months prior to that, we had the impact of first demonetization, then the highway ban. For the beer industry, GST was a disruptor more in terms of our input material cost, not so much as output, because we are out of GST, as you know. So last year, Q1 was a bit depressed because the highway ban came in from the 1st of April. So the 10% growth needs to be seen in that context. What we expect and what we have maintained for a long time is that we anticipate medium-term industry growth to be in the 6 to 8% range. And even after looking at how Q1 has performed, we still believe that the rest of the quarters, after you take out the impact, any residual impact, the highway ban going forward, would still be in the 6 to 8%.
Okay, comes third quarter and Q4 when the base does normalize and, as it is state and nation election year, etc. What kind of growth can you expect, and how far would you say it has been already so far in the month of July and August?
Well, July and August has been good. It's been similar to Q1. Because the base impact of the highway ban still stayed. But your relevant question of how Q3 and even more important Q4 will behave, and perhaps Q1 of next year, they will get impacted by impending elections. Our business is affected by the simple fact that there are closures of outlets during voting, prior to counting, post-counting, and a lot of restrictions which are placed on our breweries in terms of hours that we can operate, etc. So elections are a big disruptor to the beer business, contrary to popular belief. And therefore, whilst the impact of the highway ban may go away to a large extent in Q3, Q4 of this year, but the impending elections will dampen the growth. So taking everything into account, we still believe that lower end of 6% and a higher end of 8% for industry growth is sustainable.
Right. The strong growth posted by the beer industry, including you, continues. Still, penetration, as indicated by per capita consumption, remains the lowest in the world. Why is that, and do you see the scope of that increasing? I mean, largely people are saying from $1,500, the way is only up.
Well, you're right. See, on the positive side, it can only go up. We are at about 2 liters per capita if you take the entire population of India into account, and it clearly will go up. Now, there are several constraints which are very, very obvious and apparent. Firstly is the fact that there is limited access. There are only about 75,000 outlets across the country where you can buy beer, and most of them are in urban areas. Number two is the oft-repeated point that we, the beer manufacturers, make is that in India, beer is taxed much higher than spirits. When you look at it from the perspective of tax per unit of alcohol, it's almost 2 times that of a popular range of spirits. So that is a dampener because beer is expensive. And if you look at the corollary, and not necessarily directly related to your question, the corollary to that is that in India, beer is marketed and positioned to consumers as a premium aspirational drink across companies, not just us. And that's because entry into beer is expensive. It's much easier to drink spirits if all you're seeking is alcohol. But what beer offers you is a bit of a lifestyle, bit of relaxation and moderation, but it comes at a price. And of course, the third thing is that we're still in terms of actual number of consumers of beer in this country, we estimate are about 100 million out of the 1.2, 1.3 billion people that are there in this country. And the reason for that is, India is about 31% urban. Most of the outlets where you can buy beer in urban India. So that straight away brings down the accessible population to about 400 million. And beer, and like any other alcohol, is consumed by the adult male. And the adult male is about 1/4 of the family unit. So that brings down the total consuming number of people to 100, 120 million. And of course, you must always remember that even with a per capita GDP of $2,000, that's very low. And two, that leaves half the country, even if they had access, to being really, really poor. So on the positive side is that it can only go up. Prosperity levels in India will go up. Urbanization will increase. Hopefully the number of outlets where people have access to beer will increase. And there will be more innovation, there will be more offerings to consumers. So all in all, the future is bright, but the future is long term. The future is not going to be here in the next 3 years.
Yeah, indeed. But tell me, despite the influx of foreign beer brands, you've managed to maintain your market share in the last few years. What would you say has helped you? Consumers continue to like us. And but on a serious note, I think what has helped us is that notwithstanding all the regulation that we always talk about when we talk about the beer industry, we always keep in mind and remember that the consumer, people like you and people who are watchers of programs, don't know regulation, aren't impacted by regulation. You go to a bar, you go to an outlet, and you seek a brand. So ultimately, beer too is a business of brands. And over many years, decades, I would like to say, UBL has always invested in its brands, built its brands to make them the most desirable, most accessible brands, most fun brands, because at the end of the day, beer is a fun category. That's from the consuming point of view. And on the back end, we have the widest manufacturing footprint. We have perhaps the most efficient manufacturing footprint. So that makes our distribution and our availability far higher than anybody else. And we obviously have an organization of people who are committed to the business, who love what they do. So it's a combination of many things, but if you ask me what is the one paramount thing which makes UBL what it is and what helps us maintain our shares, is the fact that we always keep in mind that there's a business of brands, and we always invested behind our brands.
And wish you the very best with your strategies into the future as well. Thanks very much, Shekhar, for joining in and discussing with us your business plans.
Thank you. Thank you.